And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Hologrid Monster Battle. Now when the folks at this company, which is Happy Giant Games, or Tippett Studios, they emailed me and asked me if I wanted to look at it, and I said it was an augmented reality game, and I did not know what that meant. I had to look it up, and then I realized augmented reality was something that I turned off on Pokemon Go. Now I don't play Pokemon Go very often, but I played it. And in Pokemon Go, you're trying to catch Pokemon, and you can turn the screen on. It looks like you're catching a Pokemon right there in the room. It shows a Pokemon on the screen, and then it shows the room behind it. That is essentially the same thing here. You are playing a game right there on your table, it looks like, as you play the game through your devices. And in this case, I'm going to be showing you from the iPad because that's what I have. So the game is essentially similar to, let's say, the game that you saw played in the first aired episode of Star Wars Episode 4, where Chewbacca is playing against one of the robots, and they're playing some sort of game where the monsters are fighting each other. I feel pretty confident that this game was deliberately modeled on that game. You be the judge. So the game comes with two of these Hologrid Battle Monster things to hold your iPad in place. First of all, they're not good quality. Secondly, they barely hold the iPad. But let's see if I can. They don't hold the iPad Pro at all, the big one. That just doesn't work. So here I have my iPad in, and I'm going to turn on the program here. So let's get on Hologrid. Slightly disturbing intro. All right, so when you come into this, first of all, there's a lot of effort that you have. You are forced to play through a tutorial unless you register, and then after that, you are forced to register to play the game at all. So just realize that's there. And then, so we're going to click Battle, and you can play on a single device, head-to-head, play a friend, find a match. We're just going to play on a single device right now. So we're going to make a team. Now, when you make a team, each team needs to have a champion, and this set comes with 3 different champions and has 2 cards of each for whatever reason. Each champion is going to be slightly different. They have special abilities. So if I scan my team, so let's say I'm going to use this roly-poly dude here. I'm going to put him under the camera, and you see how the card here has come to life. All right, so he's moving around. I can move, and it also shows his stats. See, attack 2, move 2, 15 life. So move him to the side. I also need 3 minions. So I don't know, let's pick this nasty looking Vanguard minion. So I put him here, and you see he's come to life. And then this guy who is from the Beatles song, I Am the Walrus, I think. It's a nasty looking thing. And then let's take this frog gentleman who seems to be breathing fire. You then need... Yeah, that's a lovely sound. You then need some spells, and I believe the game comes with 5 different spells to pick from. So let's see, I'm going to give myself Meteor Storm and Berserker. Alright, so now I have a whole team together. Now I'm going to scan the team for player 2. So we're going to have player 2 play against this guy who looks like he escaped from Hellraiser. Pretty nasty looking creature. And let's give him some minions too. So we'll give him this loser. And we're going to give him a fly. And we'll give him this fat little guy. Alright, so now we need the 2 spells for them. So we'll use Second Wind. And we will use Snowblind. And you know what? At this point, that's pretty much all you need in regards to the cards. So I can confirm that I have these. You could also save your teams. Now you need a board card. Well, the game comes with one board card. Now the board card's interesting because when you put it on there, you can see that you can move the card around. It's hard. Let me pull out here for a second so you can see where the card is. The card is here because it's underneath the camera. So you can see as I'm moving the card around, you can see the board moving around. If you don't get the card put just right, it can be very problematic. So on your turn, you have a certain number of mana points to spend. So I have 3 mana points. I can move with my creature. You just click on it, and it will show you how far you can move. So this guy moves like that. I can also summon other creatures. So let's say I summon this guy right here in front of me. I can activate other creatures. So I'm down. I have one. You can see I have 1 point left up here in the top corner. And one of the things that I'm not used to on this is you can't actually scroll the map. You actually have to move the card to scroll the map. So I'm going to move him closer towards the other main bad guy. The bad guy here. Oh, then I have my turn. So now the bad guy is going to move. So I click on him. I'm calling him the bad guy because he just looks like a bad guy. And he'll summon a guy right here. And then this guy is going to attack here. And there's some automatic attacking back. And I guess I made him retreat. Ha ha ha. And then so let me get another guy out here. And then we'll end our turn. So moving to the other player. Again, moving the card a little bit. I'm going to use a fireball. And I'm going to hit him right there. So there's a little bit of randomness, but that fireball hit the spaces next to that square. Now this guy is going to attack him because he has a ranged attack. And then this guy is going to move up here. And I'm going to bring out a new bad guy. And now the iPad thing broke again, which is causing the whole thing not to work very well. Okay, so we bring it up here. Here's the board. The board is now... There we go. I was going to say it flipped upside down for a while. But that's kind of how you play. The goal of this game is to take out the opponent's champion. You take out the opponent's champion, you win the game. The minions are there just to help that happen. All right? Now, you've already seen that I'm really not a big fan of the components for this game. I don't like the stands were that poorly put together. They barely hold up the iPad. And just the fact that the camera is on the side just makes the camera's on the side of the iPad. It's actually at the top if you hold it, vertically, but you're not. You're holding it horizontally, so it's on the side. So it takes some getting used to that it's over there. And honestly, you don't even need the physical version of this game. You don't need these cards. I mean, you use them to scan. Other than that, the only card you use is the battleground card. And as you can see, it's kind of a pain in the neck because you need to manipulate that card. And if you scan that card in somewhat of an odd place, then the whole game is just a pain in the neck. And the artwork and the theming, like I said, I think they were trying to make it so they look like the monsters from the Star Wars thing, but they're just a bunch of themeless, forgettable monsters. I was very disappointed by all of that. The gameplay itself, okay, so let's forget all the other stuff. The gameplay itself, it's okay, right? You have a leader, you use some other people, you move on a board and you fight each other. You have a couple magic spells that you can cast. You saw the fireball, there's a teleport spell. A spell where you can use the same creature twice. Some creatures can charge all the way across the board. Some are ranged. Some have more hit points and are slow. Blah, 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 blah. It's a typical game. The thing is, this game isn't really that unique. See this gentleman here? This is a guy from Golem Arcana. This game came out a few years ago where you got miniatures. You played with the miniatures on the board, which was almost essentially the same thing as this game. There were some differences, but it was pretty similar. You moved stuff around and you fought each other on a square grid, except this one you played with the real miniatures, or you could play with the board, and the board was there basically just to keep track of what happened. Here, you no longer need the cards. This is essentially an iPad app that happens to also use cards to scan them in. Why should I pay for a physical product here when I can just go download an app for a couple bucks? And why should I pay for this when the game is clearly mediocre on top of that? The game is mediocre, the theme is very boring, the technology is really not there, and it's just not that exciting augmented reality. It's not like, ooh, I'm playing on my slightly dirty tabletop. Yeah? I mean, I guess you could take it to the beach and play on the beach, and now your monsters are fighting on the sand. Don't get me wrong, it's a little cool when you first scan that card, you see a 3D version of your monster, but you get over that really fast. Golem Arcana did not succeed. And it had incredibly cool, beautiful miniatures. Part of the reason it didn't succeed was because after a while you're like, hey, I don't even need the miniatures, I could just play it on the board. But I liked it. I thought it was fulfilling, it was different. Each of the units felt very cool. They felt neat. You know, there's little guys riding on mechs. This one doesn't have that feeling. It looks like just a bunch of jumbled monsters. The game is actually less good, and the technology is way worse. There's really no reason for me to tell you to get this game, but it is worth noting because I would imagine as time goes by, we'll see better and cooler games in this genre. I hope. Dice Tower Judgment, just too many problems.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Excuse me, old chap. Would you shut the door, please?
Do.